Chapter 12. The governor's court was grand and Gothic, ancient and imposing, and craving of description in the medieval manner. Broad were the flagstones that paved its ample floor, and worn with theirs glass beneath the tread of shoeless feet. Royal tabards, cloth of gold, adorned its sombre walls, and on these tabards beasts and weird devices were displayed, wrought thereupon in such a distant age that naught remained of meaning but their majesty withal. The governor himself was also old, and though his subjects, far and near, did celebrate his birthdays with appropriate occasion, none was there to accurately count the candles for his cake. The governor was also fat. Prodigious were his limbs, and great the girth of him each way about. His middle regions pressed they hugely at a belt as broad as 3 handspan, and of such a length that stood upon its end the tallest of the court could not stretch up to reach its buckle. And of his boots, his tall black boots, such was the bigness of these boots that it was said by those who knew these matters and reported them with truth, the whole tanned hides of bullocks, 2 in number, had been employed, without much waste, their cobbling to complete. And bearded also was the governor, very much indeed, and oh, the beard of him, pure white, a pillow's fill, a pillow, nay, a duvet, several duvets, and a poof. And the robes of him, speak of his robes, of regal red were they, what other colour should a sovereign clothe, and trimmed with ermine, to a niceness pleasing to behold, unless thou art an ermine, naturally. The governor was also drunk this night, and in his cups waxed anything but merry.
Kobold!
Cried the governor, and his subject answered, Sire?
Yes,
said the king.
Where have you been?
I just popped out, said Arthur, with his shoes off and his knees bent in a bow. My lord.
Out? Where out, and why?
On business, sire, as ever in the service of your realm.
Well, I see.
The king leaned forward in his throne, and such a throne was his, so girt and splendid that no words might vaguely touch its grandeur or convey its glory. No, so shan't.
It has reached my royal leg-hole,
said the king,
that there has been a spot of bother.
Nothing I can't handle, sire.
That's good to hear. To hear that's good. Most truly.
Good, said Arthur. Truly good. Then I shall take my leave. Good night.
Not quite good night, I feel.
The king raised up a hand, and what a hand it was, bedecked with rings as splendid as the throne above, if not more so. My liege.
My car.
That.
That indeed. My favourite car. My special car. Where might it be?
I fear, said Arthur, wringing out his hands, that it has been appropriated.
As in stolen, you mean?
Regrettably, yes, sire. The lad Murphy, whom I recently employed to recover certain documents which threatened our security, he gained access to your private car park, drove off in your special car.
Then get after him.
I did, sire.
And?
The king sighed hugely, and such a sigh it was, etc. There was some unpleasantness, and whilst I was otherwise engaged, the car was stolen once more by another party.
And this occurred while you were using my birthday spell?
Said Arthur, ringing away like a mangle. You heard about that, then?
I am the king.
And such a king you are, said Arthur, august, proud and true, and of wisdom sound and fair, and—
Drop it, kobold. We tired of the medieval twaddle.
Sorry, sire. Arthur hung his head.
You use my special spell without permission.
In order to recover your special car, sire.
Which you did not do.
No, sire, but I'm doing now.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes, sire. I dispatched 4 of your bodyguards to drive around the area and search. They called in a few minutes ago to say that they had located your car and were in pursuit, so all is really well and good. Good night.
Well and good?
The king rocked forward in his throne and threw his great arms wide.
You dispatched 4 of my bodyguards, my great, thick, clumsy, gormless bodyguards.
Yes, sire.
To drive around the area, did you say?
Yes, sire.
In what, Kobold? In what are they driving?
Well, I told them to go down to your car park and take whatever they thought would get the job done. The king fell back, his mouth wide open in his horror.
My bodyguards, given free rein, with my motorcars. Have you lost all your senses? Are you bereft, Kobold? Could you think of such a thing? What made you do it? What?
Well, sire, Arthur Corbold chewed upon his knuckles. You see, it's not just a matter of your favourite car. It's a matter of who stole it from Murphy. The king groaned.
Go on, said he. Tell me the worst, if worse there can possibly be.
I'm afraid they can. Far worse, you see. When Murphy sold the car from your car park, it wasn't entirely empty. I have every reason to believe that one of our guests had hidden himself inside the car. A certain category AAA guest.
A prisoner has escaped? I mean, a guest has chosen to leave us. Which one? Not Elvis.
Elvis? Arthur Corbold asked. We don't have Elvis staying with us, do we?
No, of course not, Kobold. Whatever put that into your mind?
You just said...
No, I didn't. You must have imagined it. There is only one king and I'm he. So speak up, damn you. Who's nicked my car? Out with it, Kobold. Spit it out, or truly you will know my wrath.
Hugo Rune, said Arthur Corbold. Can I go now, sire? I need the toilet. Hugo Rune put his foot to the floor and the silver car streaked over Kew Bridge towards Brentford.
There's a rule I rarely drive, he told Cornelius. There are 2 kinds of people in this world, those who sit behind a wheel and drive, and those who sit behind them and tell them where to drive. I am of the latter persuasion.
You are my father, said Cornelius.
Mayhap. However, put aside all thoughts of falling on my neck with kisses. Our lives are still in some peril.
A gorgeous long-bodied landlay, which would have found a pride of place in the collection of Lord Monty, drew level with them. Its driver, a hideous grey-green thingy, yelled something gross in their direction.
One moment's pause before you yet again enjoy the pleasure of my conversation.
Rune drew down hard on the steering wheel, caught the landlay a thunderous blow, and sent it spinning from the road. Cornelius peeped over his shoulder to make what he would of the explosion. Thoughts of the evil Campbell returned to his mind, and the devastation he had wrought upon a score of police cars. Like father, like son.
Only one remaining now, said Hugo Rune.
If you hang a right after the traffic lights, we can easily lose him in the back streets and hide out at my house.
What an absurd suggestion! We should go directly to my manse.
Whatever you prefer, then. Kindly lead the way.
Now that, said Hugo Rune, is what I do the best.
They lost the final car, a rare, if not unique, example of the chord, when Rune nudged it off the road into the newly reglazed front window of Polgar's pet shop. From then on, the drive became more sedate. They left the suburbs of the metropolis behind and travelled north, and Rune discoursed upon a great diversity of subjects. Cornelius spoke little, and though 1,000 questions crowded in his head, he couldn't get a word in edgeways on, and so, at last, he fell asleep. He awoke to find the sun upon his face, and Rune's words once more in his ear.
That is how, said Rune, the scoundrel Einstein stole my notes and walked off with the Nobel Prize.
Outrageous, said Cornelius. Are we there?
Behold the mouse.
The car was parked upon a sweeping drive of Chichester stone. Before it rose an ancient country pile, circa 1690. It was fashioned from the granite of the region, mellowed to a golden hue. The house had a hipped roof, pediment and cornice, which combined with the classic facade, so favoured in the period by Inigo Jones. There remained the Gothic touch in the mullion and transom windows, and near the angles, pilasters took the place of the usual rusticated quoins. Rune left the car and stretched his limbs before the house. Cornelius urged Tuppe into wakefulness. "Don't shake me all about," said the small bloke. "I've been awake all the time. God, you needs a bony." "Awake all the time, eh? Then I suppose you know where we are." "No," said Tuppe. "I'm quite lost." Cornelius viewed Hugo Rune through the windscreen. "And what do you make of him?" "He's looking well on it," said Tuppe. "Doesn't seem to have aged a day since that picture was taken." "The one we found in Victor Zenobia's trunk." "Do you still have it?" "Of course." Cornelius wormed the crumpled relic from his pocket. There was Rune, surrounded by his acolytes on his birthday more than half a century before. And no, he hadn't aged one day, one jot or one iota. Nor had the suit he wore, the same 1930s Boleskine tweed +4's number by all the looks of it. Cornelius looked up from the Rune of yesterday to see the Rune of today waving him to follow. "Shall we join him?" asked Cornelius. "Do you smell breakfast cooking?" Cornelius wound down the window and flexed his sensitive nostrils. "And then some," he replied.